Hello, welcome to QUT News.
Hello.
As political leaders were readying for their second great debate in Brisbane, they both ran into campaign trouble. They're in damage control over the dumping of party candidates.
Liberal candidate for the seat of Lyons, Jessica Whelan, has been sacked just a day after claiming anti-Muslim posts from her were doctored.
Jessica, what are your views on Muslims?
Excuse me, guys.
Scott Morrison initially backed the candidate's claims.
This matter has been referred to the Australian Federal Police.
But it wasn't, after other derogatory posts from Miss Whelan were found.
Yesterday, that information was not clear. Yes. These views were not disclosed to the Liberal Party at the time of her nomination.
The Liberals removed two other candidates after anti-Muslim and anti-gay posts were found on their social media pages. On the Labor side, candidate Luke Creasy was in hot water for online rape jokes and anti-gay posts.
So he has apologised deeply, and he certainly doesn't hold those views now.
But after mounting pressure, the opposition leader announced Creasy will be disendorsed. He has since resigned. It was probably a welcome respite for both of the leaders to fly to Brisbane for the second televised debate. Adam Ashmore, QUT News.
School students have taken a few hours off to protest climate change. It's been almost 2 months since the last national school strike.
Leave it in the ground, it's time to get with it. In the Brisbane seat of Oxley, protesters of all ages rallied outside the office of Labor MP Milton Dick. They demanded action on climate change.
We only have one chance in this world, and there's no other planets with oxygen.
I'm really scared for my baby's future, because he's not going to have one if we keep burning fossil fuels.
The students took the morning off school to attend, and some who couldn't make it wrote letters for the local MP.
I hope you read this, and I will be very pleased. But if you don't, that just shows we're all doomed.
But when students went to deliver them, they found the office doors had been locked. The vote on May 18th is what demonstrators are referring to as the climate election, with the environment the #1 issue on many people's minds. Local community members rallied to support the students, and though the federal election is just 15 days away, they say it isn't about politics.
We're not affiliated with any political party or any other group at all. We're just ordinary citizens and residents. Today we've got a bunch of local kids from at least 4 or 5 different schools who are standing up for their future.
Alana Riley, QUT News.
Politicians of all persuasions have backed the National Disability Insurance Scheme, but advocacy groups are demanding urgent changes.
Disability advocacy groups, people with disabilities, their families, carers and service providers gathered in Brisbane today. The Make It Work Forum says Canberra's been unresponsive to calls to fix the NDIS for too long.
Today is what we're calling a National Day of Action, where we're saying to the government in the middle of their election campaign, we want you to fund it and fix it.
Speakers told the forum this financial year alone, the federal budget underspent by $3.4 billion on disability services.
We need to ensure that NDIS funds stay with NDIS and that we increase the capacity of the programs out there to have the staff to ensure that people with disabilities get what they need.
Panellist Terry Warner travelled from Canberra to advocate for greater transparency when helping people with disabilities.
Because we certainly hear a lot of stories about the wins and losses and the challenges and the difficulties of accessing the NDIS.
The reason for today is to make the NDIS work. Advocates say it's been 6 long years coming and people with disabilities have been waiting long enough. Chris Smith, QUT News.
5 divers have been rescued by emergency services while clinging to a rock ledge near Cronulla in Sydney. The tourists were found after their empty dive boat was discovered near a Royal National Park. A Westpac helicopter lowered a paramedic to assess each of the divers. There were no injuries and all tourists were accounted for.
Facebook is under fire after banning an Australian breast cancer advertisement. The social media group says it won't accept the level of nudity in the content.
The advertisements show topless breast cancer survivors holding bread buns over their chest and aims to highlight the survivors' scars and mastectomies. The social media giant says the photographs violate their partial nudity policy and will uphold the ban until the ads are modified.
It's insulting that they've banned them when they live stream mass murder and anti-Muslim rhetoric and homophobic diatribes. It's insane that they would ban something so beautiful.
Statistics estimate more than 3,000 Australians will die from breast cancer this year, an average of 8 people every day. Breast Cancer Network Australia says these images are vital in raising awareness. Survivors say this campaign could save lives and deserves the widest audiences.
Oh, look, I think the irony is that we can continue to post the pictures on our own Facebook page, but they are not willing to help us to promote this really important campaign.
The campaign was created in partnership with Baker's Delight. Some of their customers have reacted negatively, saying the images are inappropriate for their children to see. The retail chain says they do have backup photos, but for the moment, they won't be backing down. 100% of the proceeds from the sale of Baker's Delight's pink buns will be going directly to the Breast Cancer Network Australia. Jessica Rendell, QUT News.
One of Australia's great charities, the Starlight Children's Foundation, is trying to raise more money. As part of that, sick children have been showcasing their talents.
Starlight Children's Foundation is celebrating Starlight Day, its biggest annual fundraiser. And kids take centre stage. Being sick shouldn't mean missing out on fun. To celebrate, the foundation organised a talent show at Queensland Children's Hospital.
We are after $1.3 million to brighten the lives of 33,000 sick kids all across Australia.
And Olympic gold medalist Libby Trickett was there to boost the morale.
You know, they're in an unusual situation. You know, these kids are going through, you know, sometimes very lengthy treatments, and their world isn't as normal as it should be. And to allow them to be children again, to laugh and to enjoy and to have jokes, and I think that's the really beautiful part.
Some of the patients and their relatives sang, danced and performed comedy for a few laughs.
Starlight room is awesome! I love it!
This is simply designed to put a smile on the face of sick kids, and through that smile, a twinkle in the eye of the parents. Ivy Mullins, QUT News.
The Children's Hospital was a very busy place today. Star Wars characters were also there interacting with children to promote the day they have taken over, the 4th of May. They have popularised the saying, "May the 4th be with you." Darth Vader and the stormtroopers swooped in towards, to the delight of parents and children. Looking again at our main story, the major party leaders readying for a second debate.
And still to come, Julian Assange fights extradition. Windsor Castle is abuzz. The impending birth of a royal baby has everyone excited.
Streets around Windsor Castle overflowing with tourists wanting a glimpse of a new royal baby. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex have been the subject of adoration and even some obsession by a global audience since they married in May last year. Meghan, who is best known for her role in TV drama Suits, is viewed by many, including visiting Aussies, as a symbol of change.
We do like her. I think she's bringing something quite modern and different to the royal family, and so we love her.
Royal baby fever also spread quickly among Meghan's fellow Americans.
I think it'll be interesting having an American-British baby. Yeah, that's very fascinating to me. Maybe it'll tie the two countries back together again.
While they waited, the hopeful visitors were entertained by a Beefeaters band. The pomp and ceremony of the occasion was clear.
I'm excited, and I'd like it to be born while I'm still here.
Meghan has been out of the public eye for 49 days, reinforcing the announcement that it was to be a very private birth. Bianca Snodgrass, QUT News.
WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange vows he won't go willingly to the United States, and supporters met outside an extradition court in London to back him.
Julian Assange is continuing his fight for freedom from behind bars. The WikiLeaks founder was jailed on Wednesday for 50 weeks for skipping bail when he fled to the Ecuadorian embassy in 2012. Appearing via video link from prison, Assange told the court he would not submit voluntarily to extradition. His lawyer said the case could have a chilling effect on journalism around the world.
Despite what you heard from the prosecutor in the courtroom today, this case is not about hacking. This case is about a journalist and a publisher who had conversations with a source about accessing material, encouraged that source to provide material, and spoke to that source about how to protect their identity.
The conditions Assange is being held in have been labelled appalling.
It is unacceptable that a publisher is spending time in that prison. The fight has just begun. It would be a long one and a hard one.
Protesters gathered outside the court demanding his release.
Tell the truth! Tell the truth!
They say he's done nothing wrong. The case was adjourned until May 30. Dominic Elsom, QUT News.
Hundreds of thousands of protesters have taken over streets in Sudan. They're pressuring the ruling military council to hand over power to a civilian government.
Crowds march towards a sit-in outside the Sudan Defence Ministry. They are part of an alliance of activists and opposition groups angry about military control of the country.
We are carrying banners that demand civilian rule, civilian sovereignty in the country.
Demonstrators say they are prepared to fight hard to achieve their demands, even through Ramadan, which is set to start on Sunday and lasts all month.
We will persevere through Ramadan under any pressures, under any challenges. We will persevere until all demands are met.
We are prepared to serve the protesters until all demands are met.
Activists have been negotiating with the Transitional Military Council to form a joint civilian military body, but the parties are deadlocked. Alana Riley, QUT News.
Amidst the despair and anguish of the landslide in Bolivia, there has been a story of hope. A dog has been rescued from the rubble.
Over 60 houses have been destroyed in the landslide, with many families left without a home. One family believed they had lost even more than that.
We were really sad at having lost our dog, our pet that we have had since she was a baby. We're very happy to have found her.
The dog is reported to have a series of fractures, but is expected to make a full recovery. Vets have been working tirelessly to save other animals found in the rubble.
It's very important to save a life. It doesn't matter if it's an animal or a person. Both lives are important. The dog that we rescued was buried up to his neck, which is why his entire rib cage was contracted.
Emergency shelters have been set up for those who have been left homeless by the landslide. The city of La Paz, known as the Mountain City, has recently been hit with heavy rain. The rain damaged the foundations of the houses on the hilly outskirts of the area, and they collapsed easily. Adam Ashmore, QUT News.
The younger generation is being urged not to forget the World War II Holocaust. A new exhibit in the United States reminds us of the horrors of the past.
Not long ago, not far away. That's the message from a new exhibition featuring hundreds of artefacts from the Auschwitz concentration camp. More than 1 million people are said to have died at the camp during the Second World War. 70 years after the liberation of Europe, living memories of the horror are fading. But organisers say the cautionary tale of the Holocaust is vital now, more than ever.
We find that hate, discrimination all over the world, whether it be Muslims or Christians or people of different persuasions, are being discriminated even more. And so we need this exhibit very badly.
The exhibit features more than 700 original objects and 400 photographs. There are personal items that once belonged to infamous Nazi doctor Josef Mengele and SS leader Heinrich Himmler, and shoes and glasses worn by prisoners.
So I think with those objects that belong to children, men, women, every one of us will find something similar we have at home.
The exhibition will be open until January next year. Dominic Elsom, QUT News.
Norwegian fisheries officers are seeking help from Facebook users to name the beluga whale that has captured the world's attention. Suggestions include Moby Dick and Agent James Beluga. The whale was first spotted wearing a harness and a camera and is thought to have been used by the Russian military before escaping. The whale isn't shy of humans, coming right up to the camera, and it shows no inclination to go home.
The Broncos are in all sorts of trouble after another loss. They were thrashed by Wayne Bennett's Rabbitohs 38-6.
It just wasn't Brisbane's night. A 32-point thrashing by Souths wasn't how Anthony Seibold wanted to make a return to ANZ Stadium, but it certainly put a smile on Wayne Bennett's face. Nevertheless, Seibold has taken some positives.
We showed some real glimpses, Believe it or not, tonight was actually our best defensive display.
The Warriors have also confirmed Broncos halfback Cody Nikorima will join the New Zealand club until at least the end of 2021. The Broncos have now lost 6 of their 8 games this season and sit 12th on the ladder, while the Bunnies have stormed to top position. Rugby Union Australia and star player Israel Folau are set for their showdown on the weekend. Folau is defending a series of social media posts claiming homosexuals, among others, were going to hell. Meanwhile, cricketers Steve Smith and David Warner are back in the Australian team after serving their 12-month bans over the Sandpaper Gate affair. Warner has smashed 692 runs in 12 games in the Indian Premier League.
He's a world-class player and we're excited to have him back in our group and hopefully he can continue that form through the World Cup.
In AFL, Port Adelaide Power are preparing to take on Collingwood Magpies tonight, and the Richmond Tigers will play the Western Bulldogs tomorrow in Melbourne. Dominic Elsom, QUT News.
The weather details are next.
And proof that an elephant never forgets.
Time to take a look at the weather with the wet weekend on the horizon. There was also some rain around today, and as a result, most of the southeast was a little cooler, with Ipswich on 27. Brisbane hit 26 and the Gold Coast the same. Around the nation tomorrow, and rain is forecast across Perth, Melbourne, Hobart and Sydney. Adelaide and Canberra can expect chilly single-digit lows. Cloud cover is likely in Darwin with a high of 34. Back in Queensland, tomorrow rain is forecast in Mackay, Rockhampton and Bundaberg with max temperatures in the mid-20s. It'll be partly cloudy in Cairns, Townsville and Mount Isa. On Moreton Bay, winds will be northerly with seas to about 1 metre. The sun will rise at 6:15 before setting in the evening at 5:14. The outlook for the Gold and Sunshine Coast tomorrow is rain with a top of 23 and a low of 14. Over the next 3 days, there'll be more rain in Brisbane before the weather clears heading into the new week. Expect highs in the mid-20s with the weather cooling to a low of 12 by Monday. And that brings you up to date with the weather.
Just before we go, a reunion of love and proof that elephants never forget.
It's clear love has no bounds, not even between an Asian elephant and his keeper.
No, there's nothing in my pocket. Do I smell the same?
This is Kirsty. She's a 52-year-old and for nearly 20 of those years, Peter Adamson looked after her. Adamson left the zoo and Kirsty more than 3 decades ago, but came back just for this reunion. The former zookeeper talked to his ageing baby gently, blowing in her trunk and touching her softly. He helped raise Kirsty and was delighted to see she was still thriving after so many years.
Oh, Kirsty. What a wonderful one.
Jessica Rendell, QUT News.
That brings you up to date with QUT News. Goodbye for now.
Goodbye.